Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Show Up with Camron Gran. Today, we will be doing Am I the Jerk? Are you a jerk? Well, let's find out. Hopefully nobody listening to this is a jerk. And if you are, that doesn't really help people. But you do, I guess, whatever you need to do to make yourself happy today. Hopefully, by following this channel or going about your life, you'll find a way to be better for yourself. Because negative energy only begets more negative energy. And we're trying to, turn our lives around and twist it to, one, show up for ourselves so that we can show ourselves that we matter and we deserve happiness. But to get happiness, you have to show other people that you want them to be successful. With that, I'm going to dive into Am I the Jerk? Hopefully you guys enjoy. I can tell you what the opinion is online afterward. For this one, it says, Am I the jerk for pretending to get fired when customers get a temper with me? I am a high schooler with a weekend job at a coffee shop. My coworker who works weekends are James, the owner's son. He goes to my school. He's a shift manager, but it's not a real formal thing. He's a friendly guy. Danielle, a college student who sometimes works weekends too. So sometimes customers will come in and just be angry about such little stuff. Literally blow up about nothing. I don't know if they're in a bad mood already and looking for someone to take it out on or what, but it's a lot. How sad. So you have to be a grown man taking your anger out on a high schooler and college kids. James and I were joking about having a little fun with them and hopefully getting them off our back. So one day I was at work and some guy was having a temper about how we don't make the coffee hot enough, which I couldn't do a thing about because I gave it to him right out of the machine. So James came in and was like, "Sir, is there a problem here?" And the guy started ranting at him too. So he's just like, "OP, this is unacceptable. You're fired." I started acting real sad, "No, please don't fire me. My family needs the money. I need this job, please." And he played up telling me to take off my apron and leave. The anger guy started to backtrack, "It isn't that big of a problem. You don't need to fire her over it. I didn't mean it." And he was like, "No, we pride ourselves on the best customer service." Of course, after that, all that drama, I still had my job. We were just acting. And we've done it a couple of times whenever a customer will lose a temper at Danielle or I. James will storm in and fire us. And almost every time the person who had come angry will apologize and say that they didn't mean it. It's kind of satisfying making people realize their actions might actually have consequences. Anyways, I was telling my friends from high school about this, and a few of them thought it was a mean prank to let someone go away thinking they'd gotten someone who desperately needed the money fired. Am I the jerk for this joke? No. I think you are a legend. That's the thing. I have worked in customer service for so long, and people take people who in customer service for granted. So 100%, no, you're not a jerk. I think that something that people have to realize, especially when it comes to coffee temperature, most things are set, and it's the machine's manufacturer who sets the coffee temperature. And usually, the reason why coffee is set to a certain degree has to do with the fact that if it's not controlled, there's a risk of burning somebody. And so most coffee shops won't allow machines to get to that point where it can actually hurt somebody if it fell on them. And to do that, they have to put limiters into the machine so it can't actually do that. And I think that's a smart thing for them to do because obviously, like you said, you're a high school or college kid, you're there working, but you're not a technician managing it to know exactly how it works. So it's good to have those limiters in place because you have so many people working in the machines, so that way you're protecting the safety of everyone. Because for me, what's important? Safety. Safety is the number one thing. People think that it's okay to throw safety out the door, and I'm like, hell no. If safety's not involved, I'm not staying. I don't think anybody else should stay either. But when it comes to baristas, for some reason, people think that they own baristas. My mother taught me that if you go to a barista coffee shop, you should always tip them because usually it's a long line of a lot of people taking them for granted because they're oh, it's just making a coffee. How hard can it be? And it's just a lot of attitude. I've always tipped baristas because I'm I've been in their shoes. My sister wanted to open a coffee shop. I understand how frustrating it can be when people don't treat you well. But the only thing I'll say, I might actually let a manager know you're doing this because the last thing you want to do is for somebody to discover that you were fired and then come back and then see you again. If you're doing this in a drive-thru, well, they'll never see your face. That's one thing. It's also hopefully you have a manager who has the same sense of humor because some managers take things way too seriously and it's better to find out beforehand or after. But also it's sometimes people have the mentality of better to ask forgiveness than permission. I don't think it's too far, but a manager might have a different opinion depending when they find out. So that's my only caution is if you do it too much, you risk a manager discovering a real one, so you might actually lose your job. But then again, a minimum wage job that is easily replaceable because let's be honest, minimum wage jobs are you could literally leave from one place and go to another one. If it was a hard sought out career, then I'd be don't do that ever. But you can be a barista at another place. Coffee shops are all over and they're not always the same chain. I'm sorry, Starbucks, you don't own everything. Yeah, I know you think you do. In the Midwest, we have Caribou Coffee. We do have Starbucks still though. Okay, we're moving to the next story. But the overall consensus on that one was they weren't the jerk. Am I the jerk for bringing up my brother's premature birth at Christmas dinner to get my parents to shut up? Okay. That's a move to go against your parents, but we'll see where this is going? Here we go. I am a nurse practitioner and I am the primary care provider for a lot of low-risk maternity cases at the practice where I work. I also work hand in hand with doctors and midwives to create a healthy maternity, birth, and postpartum situation. My fiance is completing her residency. We live together and have for a few years now. We aren't in any hurry to get married. We originally had plans to do so a couple of years ago, but then we got really busy for 2 years. It is driving my very religious parents crazy that their youngest son is living in sin. Okay. Focus on your own life, in my opinion. Sorry, it's just, I don't mind when parents say this stuff, but like the way you phrase this made me feel like they're living vicariously through you. So if you're living in sin, then they must be. And that's like overly dramatic to me. And that's why I rolled my eyes. I don't really care. I'm an adult and I do what I want, okay? We are getting married in June. We are visiting my parents for Christmas. The way it came together this year, everyone is at my parents' house. So that's my folks, my 3 siblings, myself and fiance, and 7 grandchildren. So 17 people. Dang, that's a lot of people. At dinner, my mom starts going on about how she's so glad that we are finally getting married and she won't be embarrassed at church anymore. Oh my gosh. Like, how often you talk about your son and nobody's like, oh, your son, is he having out of marriage sex with his in apartment girlfriend? Like, I mean, I've been to church, but that doesn't come up unless you bring it up. Like, people have their own lives. They're not concerned with this, but okay. And my dad says how proud he is of his 3 older kids who all either waited to get married before moving in together or got married right away after moving in together. My fiance was getting embarrassed and I was getting mad over his stupid argument we have had too many times, and a family dinner was the last straw. I have asked them repeatedly to just accept that they cannot control how I live my life. I refuse to stay with them when I visit, even if I come alone. Hotels are just easier. So I started talking about a premature baby I had been reading about. It was almost 3 months premature and weighed about 1.6 pounds. It was super strong and healthy, being born so little, and the NICU had high hopes for the baby doing well. My mom and dad both got deer in the headlights look us on their faces. Too bad. Should not have been effed around with my fiance's feelings. So I asked about my oldest brother. He was born almost 4 months premature. Is there a chance that we could check out the family album where we keep all the records of family births and stuff? I already know my brother was over 9 pounds and almost 23 inches long when he was born. My grandmother told me all about it the first time parents tried to shame me. The subject gets changed very fast. After supper, my parents told me that I should not try to embarrass them with private things that are not my concern. I told them that if I heard anything about my living arrangements ever again for the rest of my life, I would make sure to keep bringing up the fact that my mom was in her 2nd trimester when they got married. My parents are mad at me for telling them how to behave in their own home, but my fiance is happy that they seem to be off the subject for good. Am I the jerk? I would think what you deserved is a good hot plate of comeuppance. To shame somebody about having premarital sex and then for that person to know that you have a brother who was born premature and who was, you know, coming before like they were actually married means that they have a lot of disapproval being pointed at somebody else when really they don't even walk that same walk themselves. I just don't like people who like to judge others but then don't walk the judgment that they say. Like, that's hypocritical. I hate hypocrisy. Like, don't tell me not to have not to move in with somebody that I'm in love with, or like to have sex outside of marriage and then like cut to like a year later and then you're talking about like all these things that you did when you weren't married to your spouse, and then you're like, do you know how many times you have shame me for something? And to shame me when you did the exact same thing is like hypocritical. And just mind your business. Like, once you're out of the house, you don't live with your parents, you share what you want with them, but they don't need to know everything. And if they're trying to know everything, you say, I'll let you guys know, but you don't get to like bring this up to throw in my face. I've said this to my friends before. I want you to know everything about me. I will try limiting so it's not TMI information. I want it to be give and take. If you're worried or stressed, or if you're happy, your friends should celebrate with you, your family should celebrate with you, and your friends should grieve or like be lost with you if that's what's happening. Because that's actually back and forth, give and take, of an equal friendship, partnership, relationship, whatever you want to call it. If you're going to judge somebody when you're signing something that you yourself followed, it's crazy. Anyways, the overall consensus was not the jerk, and I will say that I agree with that. On to the next story, you all. Wow, we're moving quickly for this one. This one's different because they're asking, will they be the jerk? Because I'm guessing this stuff has not happened yet, but it's something they're considering doing. I've done this before because it's called checking the facts, where I've asked somebody, if I did this, is this a jerk move or not? Because I'm not sure. I've never done it before, and I don't know how other people would take it. So I do like when you're asking prematurely, well, that's not good with the previous story. Like, you're asking before you actually commit the act. Anyways, the story says, will I be the jerk if I took over planning my own funeral from my very religious parents? Well, I don't know if you're gonna be a jerk, but you almost made me cry right away. Will I be sure for taking over planning my own funeral? Wow, this one's gonna get to me. Why are you planning your own funeral? Is this just something because some people like eventually do a will and that's what's happening? Or, sorry, I'm gonna read it, but I'm not looking for it. I'm gonna take a breath. It's okay. If we cry, we're gonna cry today. If we don't cry, we'll be happy. Let's see how this works out. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you all for the kind words, support, and love that everyone has offered and given. These weeks have been the most difficult I have ever experienced, and it is with the great sadness that I tell you all that my beautiful and cat-crazy wife has passed. Okay, so the update isn't from the person talking about her parents. It's the update from the husband. Okay. Oh, okay. I've had to cut this short due to the character limit. Sorry, y'all. But she did leave all of you a note. Oh my gosh. Now I wish I knew the original story. Read it. I've copied everything verbatim below. Truly loved everyone and was smiling so much after her first post. I'll take my leave now. Much love. Man. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna cry. Reddit. If you're reading this, I am dead. Okay, well, this is crazy. I'm not dead. This is crazy. Okay. Pretty crazy to be talking to a dead person, eh? It feels a bit strange to be writing this. If this feels a bit disconnected, I'm sorry. I have to take frequent breaks as I get tired pretty quickly now. My husband offered to write these words, such a sweet ham, I know. Be nice to him, okay? But I wanted my last words to be written by me. Long story short, I talked to my parents. A lot of people asked about why my husband wasn't planning a funeral and my parents were taking control. Honestly, my parents didn't take the news of my passing to come well, and I suppose their closure was to try and take control of what they could. I'm not angry at them for it, I understand. They had already prepaid a large portion of the service, and to put it plain and simple, it was a hand they were dealt. So we talked to them. I laid it all out for them, and somehow we reached a compromise. Lots of tears, lots of hugs, and surprisingly, lots of laughs. They admitted that they had been losing their faith with everything that had happened, and their way to attempt to find it again was to take control and guide me into the afterlife. Now I think though, and I explained that I am not them, but their daughter who wanted to live her last weeks in peace, not the turmoil they were putting me through. And while a lot of people stated that funerals are for the living, true, I firmly believe that a funeral is for the living to remember that person as who they are, not what anyone else wanted them to be. My parents seemed to understand when I told them that. They were not on board with the party favor aspect though. Kind of a bummer. Pretty lucky to plan my own funeral, honestly, but now that is all said and done, thank you guys. I was blown away by the responses. I was moved to tears. I wish I had a chance to meet every single one of you. You all be good now, right? I take it one day at a time and enjoy yourself. You only get one life, unless you're someone who has survived death. Then you're just a hero and probably a cat with a few lives to spare. I love you all. I'm resting easy now. This disease sucks, and I'm happy to be rid of it. And laugh and love and cry and be sad. I've got to go now. I'm going to go snuggle my husband and my cat. Keep it real Reddit. Love y'all. Okay. Updates usually include the original post, even without the original post. Oh man, that was hard to get through. It's super emotional, especially when the thing that she's talking about is like, a funeral should be about the real person, not the vision of the person you had in your mind. Like at my mom's funeral, I was just playing a host to a bunch of other people who are grieving however they needed to grieve. And the thing that was upsetting me is a lot of what they were grieving was like not who my mom was anymore. It was like their perception of her. And then there were stories being told, which I do like when people gather around and tell stories. I liked that at my dad's funeral, and I didn't mind at my mom's funeral. It's just like they kept bringing up how she passed away, and I'm like, listen, we don't need to talk about that. Like, we all know how she passed away. We can talk about it again and again, or we can let it just be what it is and just accept that we're celebrating her life and being here as like a family unit. I'm not on good terms with most of my family because, again, most of my family I feel like only wants to be around me when they feel like they have an opportunity to use me for something, which is something I don't like. That's why I like her idea of, I just want you guys to remember the real me, celebrate me in my life. And it sounds like she wanted to give out party favors. I don't know. Just like gifts to people to show them how much she loved them, which I think is a boss move when it comes. If you know you're gonna die, to leave everybody at the funeral something from you that you picked out so they knew that this is something that you thought of, that this reminds you of that person. Talk about making everybody cry. Oh man, that would destroy. I understand when like the knee-jerk reaction of wanting something to like work on your grief, but at the end of the day, everyone grieves in their own way, and whatever a funeral is, I feel like it should be an open book or open door, or like just like an empty ballroom floor ready for anybody to step out and just like start working on whatever grief that they need to. I'm going to end it there because that one got me and I'm feeling a little bit sad. The next story starts with the title of, Am I the Jerk for Making a Dad Joke? I'm hoping that it's a no, because hopefully it's a funny joke, but I'm not always sure because I had a dad, he made jokes. They weren't always in the best, taste. So we'll see how this works out. But I will tell you what everyone else thought at the end. My stepdaughter, Madeline, was about a year old when I married her mother, Jessica. Madeline's father died before she was born. Madeline is currently 15 and she's rebelling for almost everything. She did something bad, so while picking her up, I set a punishment up for her. And then she said, "You're not my dad. I don't have to follow you." Honestly, I got a bit hurt from that, but I understand that she didn't mean it and that she'd probably change. I just replied, "I'm still your legal guardian for the next 3 years, and as long as you are in my house, you have to follow my rule." That happened about 2 days ago, so our family was going grocery shopping when Madeline said, said, I'm hungry, I need food. I decided to be extremely cheeky and say, hi, hungry, I'm not your dad. My son just started to laugh uncontrollably. My daughter was just quiet with embarrassment, and my wife was berating me. Not to stoop down to her level. I honestly thought it was a funny dad joke, and my son agrees, so am I the jerk? I feel like this joke is all about timing. I do think it is a funny joke, but the only way it would be funny, because I love it, ironic joke where you're like, oh, you're not gonna call me your dad? Here's a joke. You said a couple of days later, you said, yeah, so a couple of days had passed. At that point, no longer a funny joke. Then you're bringing up something and it feels like a hurtful thing just to bring back up. But if you said like an hour later, then I would be like, yes, hilarious. But that kind of joke needs to be brought up pretty quickly after original reference, because callbacks are hilarious, but they're only hilarious if people also grasp that you're doing a callback joke. But let me read the edits that he posted as well. It says, edit, I did adopt her, so legally I am her parent. Okay, there you go. And then another update that says, mini update. I probably give a full update later, but here's what happened so far. I go to my daughter's room after dinner and begin talking with her. Hey, I'm really sorry that I hurt you by the words I said, and I'm really your dad. I changed your diapers, I met your boyfriend, and I plan on helping you through college. And plus I'm legally your dad, so we're stuck together. But seriously, I'm going to love you like my daughter, even if you don't think I'm your dad. Then I hugged her. She did start to cry. I assume that's good. This is one where I don't understand the people's takeaway, because it says everyone sucked. I don't agree with everyone sucking. I think that, no, because it was like, okay, she said this to me. She's being like a bitter teenager, so I'll make a funny joke about it since she said this to me. Obviously, we don't understand, because the story is so short, what kind of dynamic they have. Because like, if you're this kind of jokey back and forth, witty banter type of relationship, then 100% I believe this is something that somebody would naturally say. But I don't think he's a jerk. I don't necessarily think that she's a jerk. I think that she's just being, he said, a teenager who wants to rebel. So she's just kind of like doing things to test the water. Because when he found out that he hurt her feelings, his response was, well, if you didn't want me to hurt your feelings, then why did you think it was okay to make that joke about? Instead, he was like, okay, well, she's a teenager. She was hurt. Let me reassure her that I don't feel that way. I do think that we are family. I just want you to actually know that I love you. And I think that's just beautiful. I know that was build up. I was doing a whole bunch of movement, but I'm just like, I had a discussion with my father where he sat me down, not even like an adopted parent, but he literally sat me down and told me that we were about to move in with somebody who then became my stepmother. I told him that the only way she would agree to marry him is if she could have nothing to do with me. And it wasn't like nothing to do with raising me. It was nothing to do with me, period. Now, this is what my father told me. I've talked to this person since then, and according to her, didn't say anything like this to my father. I don't know if this is true. We're not close. I didn't feel like challenging her on it, or I don't know. I didn't feel like pushing her because my dad was passed away, so there's no point in trying to like get down to something with someone when you never really had a relationship with them and they never gave you an opportunity to have a relationship with them. So I just kind of let it go. I do respect the fact that when somebody has a child and you decide to date them, you should understand that their child means everything to them. And so when a child sees somebody with their parent, their assumption is always going to be that their parent is with somebody, and the reason why they're choosing this person is because they want something to do with the mom or the dad, depending on like who's dating, and their kid. If you don't want anything to do with children, you should not date somebody with a child. The instant my father thought that what this person said was, oh, she wants nothing to do with your child, my child, he should have said, no, I'm not going to be with her then, in my opinion. Especially because he had promised for years to find somebody who wanted to like make our lives better because we had been suffering for so long, and maybe she made his life better. I don't know. A lot of stuff happened with him. I let go because I had a lot of anger and resentment, and he passed away before he gave me an opportunity to work through that. And I could continue to be angry to this day, or I could just be like, you know what, the anger belongs to somebody who I will never have an opportunity to actually work through with, so I can't be angry at them. They're never going to be able to defend themselves, or I'm never going to be able to actually have a relationship with them, so might as well just let it go. I'll move on to the next one, which will be the last one for this episode. Maybe it's a short one. That's okay. We will have longer ones in the future. I just wanted to get like a little vibe for you guys. So for this last one, it's am I the jerk for not taking down my video that was a gift from my best man? Okay, everyone has voted. I'll tell you what they voted at the end. Here we go. I have a sister that's 6 years older than me. Okay. I have a sister who is 3 years older than me. I have a sister who's like a year and a half. I feel you, man. My parents for years canceled on me last minute because of my sister. Got it. I have a basketball game. Oops, sorry. Sister doesn't feel like going out. I'm graduating. Oops, sorry. Sister had a bad day at work. They have missed both major and smaller events in my life because of her meltdown. I met the love of my life. We decided to tie the knot. From the beginning, I told my parents how I'm worried my sister will ruin another special moment in my life. My mom told me over and over again it would not happen. The day of my wedding, I received a voicemail from my mom saying they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick and she was upset. Oh my God. I don't know what, like, this sister is 6 years older than you. Maybe she has something that she needs to be looked after. I don't know. But for me, my instinct is, okay, so leave her alone to deal with her pet. You are the child to this person getting married. She needs to deal with her own stuff for this day, because marriage is a big enough life event that I feel like it trumps pet thing, in my opinion. But she might need people to look after her. I don't know. Let's continue. I was hurt. My best man, however, is a jokester. He took my phone, then went to my fiance and asked if he could post a video of our wedding as a gift on social media. She loved his idea. I had no idea about it until I came home. Our honeymoon was at a lakeside cabin. No cell service. The post caption was, "My best friend. He's an amazing person, even if his parents never show up for him." Wow. The video was still pictures of us next to her parents, me on the dance floor cutting the cake, where you would normally see both parents in wedding pictures. The sound behind the video was my mom's voicemail explaining how they couldn't come because my sister's dog was sick. I came home a week later to hundreds of messages, family members from both sides insisting I take it down. I was told my sister hasn't stopped crying. My mom was refusing to leave the house. I may be the A here. I didn't take it down when I got my messages. I didn't call my family back right away. I waited until my vacation time was over at work and enjoyed my time with my wife in our new home before I contacted anyone. My dad told me to take down the video. It was just a bad night for them, that they will make it up to me and my wife for not coming. My reply was exactly, how do you plan to make up my wedding? It's a once in a lifetime thing. You choose to ignore my feelings on the whole matter. Then he just repeated he will make it up to me. I told him I would take down the video only when he made up missing my wedding. Flustered, we both hung up and the phone before we both said things we shouldn't have. Am I the A here? I could have taken down the video. Here's the thing, I'm not a lawyer, but nothing that you're saying sounds like you have to take it down. You said that the voicemail was actually playing in the video. For that fact, I feel like you might be forced to take it down, but if your best friend literally just captioned his parents never show up for him and then just talks about what happened, that's different. But again, if this is just on I don't know what you're talking about with social media, TikTok, Facebook, things have different rules, but like, I know that for videos, some things you have to take down if you don't have permission of the person that whose voice you're using or image. But as I said, if neither their face or their voice is actually used, then you have every right to keep it up as long as you want. Now, does it make them look bad? Sure. To be honest, I feel like there's a narrative out there where just because you're family, you have to like not let the world see how crappy your family is. And I'm sorry, if you want people to perceive you as a good family, then you should be a good family. You shouldn't be faking things on social media. It seems like if it's always happening, it's happened your entire life. For you to finally be fed up, it's a big life event, and for them to finally realize how bad it is because they were called out at a major event, that seems like it shouldn't have been pushed that far before they got something. Also, I don't think you're a jerk for waiting until after you're done with your wedding and your honeymoon to even address it, because your honeymoon and your wedding everyone knows are huge life events. You deserve to do those things with just your wife and be together. Is it embarrassing for them? Will they have to live through embarrassment for a couple of days? Also, I feel like you're leaving context with your sister, because the way that they're talking, I don't know if they just have an unhealthy relationship with your sister or if your sister needs something. Because I could see you being the jerk if your sister had needs and that's why your parents favor her so much. But yeah, I agree, because I told you that people voted and they said not the jerk. And I agree with that, because you're not doing anything to hurt them. You're just allowing the truth to speak for itself. And some people can't handle the truth or the reality that they create and like put on others, which isn't on you. So you know what? I say leave it up, and even if they make it up to you, because if they forget what it means to like be a good parent to you, that video will be a great reminder for them to just look back upon and see what happened. Because I 100% understand what it's like to not have your parents show up for you. My dad visited me once in New York, and I don't understand why he chose to come 3 months before my graduation instead of just waiting and coming on my graduation. And I believe what he told me was that they had a trip already planned with his wife, which again is the person that told me they want nothing to do with me. And my issue with that is simply the fact that graduation should trump random trip with your wife. And I'm happy I've had found friends in New York, because they gave me somebody to celebrate a huge life event, which is graduating from a college, especially a college that was focused completely on what your dream is. And I love the fact that you stuck to your decision. And if anything, I would just talk to your wife about it, because it seems like if you and your wife are on the same page and you feel like it, like whatever the relationship with your family, it's fine. Like whatever happens after this, because this is really what this comes down to. It's not whether or not you're a jerk. It's whether or not you're okay with whatever change this does to your family dynamic, for the better or for the worse. Because if you set the boundary that you're not going to take it down until after he actually makes it up to you, I think you should stick with that. because so often they say they promise to make it up for you, and then so often something happens with your sister and they just choose to pick your sister over you. I know what that's like. My entire childhood, my mom chose my brothers over me. I didn't understand why all the time. I understood sometimes, especially because they were younger than me, so you had to take them to sporting events and stuff like that. If they are always in sporting events, which are once a week, and then I have one play like once every 4 months, that's very different than, oh, I have a play every week. Come to every single play. That is two very different things. Like, come to my play once, there's 4 showings. Any of those 4 days you can make it. Like, just choose the day that they don't have sport. So I understand it. But like, I'm sorry, a wedding, giving birth, those are life moments. I do guilt myself a lot about missing 2 of my friends' weddings, both of them outside of my control. But when you love somebody so much, and like you're seeing that when you love somebody so much, you're supposed to be there for their major life events, and to not be just sucks so much because you dreamt about being there for your friends on those important events. So it's okay to live in the awkwardness or live with like a boundary. Just make sure that when you set that your foot down, that you follow through on it, because obviously they've never followed through on any of their promises. So you have to be the one that set that standard for them. It's like, if you say these things to me, you need to follow through. Otherwise, I'm not doing what you want me to. Healthy boundary, in my opinion. Okay, that's it for this episode. If you guys have an opinion about any of these, I would love to read them. Love to like communicate with you guys, give a little bit back and take, give and take, you know, like back and forth. We're talking about like, you know, I'd love to conversate with you guys over the internet if you'd like. You guys can give this video a thumbs up. You can comment. You can like. You can hit the little bell button if you want to get notified when I post more videos. As always, I want to remind you guys to show up for yourself, because you matter. These stories are so important, because I think that even if you end up being the jerk in any of these, checking the facts and asking people is a huge step with realizing what's going on inside your mind. And sometimes we have behaviors we've grown up with that we don't realize they're bad behaviors, or realize that they are the correct thing to do, but other people are gaslighting us. And when you check the fact, I would advocate that you try to find somebody closer that's actually in person you can talk to, so you can actually give them the nuances, because obviously we can only get so much over a story. But you deserve to have the truth of it. I hope life gets better for every one of these people, and I hope that you guys listening, you know, go forth for the next week and have a great time. This podcast has helped me so much in a positive way. I hope that it will help you guys. Thank you guys. I will see you guys next time, and that's it. Bye.